At the time, and it's 6:06. We do apologize for the late start of the program, but good evening. You're watching ABC News. This is ABC Prime. I am Eric Chinibwatmelo. Coming up in the headlines. Outbreak in the western region is getting dire as 14 cases have been recorded. We will engage authorities on this as health facilities are reported to be full. Now, following the tensions and tempers rising at the Tesino Police Training School over the recollation and declaration of contention seat, an IPAC meeting was held. We will get to the grounds for more details and development on this issue. Still to come in the bulletin, the president-elect transition team has issued a warning on effort by the outgoing government not to engage in last-minute contracts. John Mahama has made a statement, and I will bring you that shortly in the bulletin as well. And later in business, stakeholders have charged President-elect John Dramani Mahama to, without hesitation, scrap the e-levy. Later on the international front, 2 opposition parties in Namibia have won a court order to inspect elections materials following claims of irregularities. Stay with us. We settle for the details of these and more shortly. You're welcome to the program. You stream it live on YouTube, ABC News GH. Follow us. Let's get interactive. Your thought and comment will also be appreciated. Let's begin with our first story. The Electoral Commission EC has temporarily stopped the recollation of parliamentary results at the National Police Training School in Tesino, Accra. The decision comes after growing discriminations and discrepancies between political parties disrupted the process. The recollation exercise, which started earlier this week, aimed to resolve discrepancies in the election result for several constituencies. However, tensions between the New Patriotic Party NPP and the National Democratic Congress NDC escalated, making it difficult to continue. The recollation was meant to address issues in constituencies like Suhum and Sawom, Adwedri, Fantiako North and Ekotia in the eastern region. As we do know, these areas have been affected by the discrepancies and there have been some dispute over the initial election results. My colleague Andy Opondenchi is on standby and we're trying so hard to engage him on that story. He has been there since this morning. Earlier also in our bulletin this afternoon we engaged him and he brought us details of that. But let's take a listen at what transpired at the police depot this afternoon.
Complete reflection of the foundation of the NDC, where indiscipline, where lawlessness, where people who ought to know better decides to take the laws into their hand, and that is why we are here today. We have had a peaceful election. People have won their elections. Coalitions are supposed to be done at their various centers, which was designated by the commission. Hoodlums of NDC went to those centers and disrupted every process that is leading to proper declaration of candidates that have been elected. So we have been brought here to ensure that the safety of people who are doing the coalition, officers and party persons are there for these things to be done. And that is what the law is allowed to do. Now is a complete reflection of the foundation of the NDC, where indiscipline, where lawlessness, where people who ought to know better decides to take the laws into their hand, and that is why we are here today. We have had a peaceful election. People have won their elections. Coalitions are supposed to be done at their various centers, which was designated by the commission. Hoodlums of NDC went to those centers and disrupted every process that is leading to proper declaration of candidates that have been elected. So we have been brought here to ensure that the safety of people who are doing the coalition, officers and party persons are there for these things to be done. Officers and party persons are there for these things to be done, and that is what the law is allowed to have been elected. So we have been brought here to ensure that the safety of people who are doing the coalition, officers and party persons are there.
The bite you just listened to was the Deputy Secretary of the NPP, Haruna Mohammed. But still in this particular conversation, the Deputy Director of Elections in IT, Dr. Rashid Tanko, earlier during the conversation also spoke. Let's take a listen at what he also spoke about.
Yes, very well. We are here with the EC because they want to do some illegality that we are preventing them. We realize that some consequences were declared by the returning officers. And it's a law. When the returning officer declares and you are not satisfied, you go to court. You don't come here and ask that they should do a regulation. That's it. That regulation cannot allow you. That's wrong. Secondly, some consequences were being continued because they wouldn't finish their abolition exercise during the period, the 7th December, 7th, the 8th December, because of some skirmishes. The likes of Akotia, Suri, and Agoju, and Sawamag were able to, the AC were able to clear the Suhum and then Akotia, although they had difficulties with it. They started the Sawam, but we realized that they were challenging with some 82 polling stations. And now when we started the process, we realized that some of the things were fake, they were not correct, and some were tainted. That is, they were alterations on the numbers. So we said, no, if this is what is going on, it means the issue has connived with the NPP to rig the election for another. Whilst in the process, we placed an injunction to stop the process. Now, when we did the injunction, we said the head of the electoral commission, and also the daily was here to serve another, who is a party to the seat. Interestingly enough, the police here, most of you are here, you saw it, prevented the daily from carrying out the exercise. To the extent they had to escort another out of the place so that he ran away from the daily. This is unprofessional. And it's all been aided by the police here, the Director General of Civil, behind all these criminal activities going on. So we pointed out if she wants to be the woman organizer of the NPP, she should put down her clothes as a police officer and go and join them. But she cannot be behaving the way she behaves. Completely unprofessional. And so we have stopped the process, we've injuncted it, we've also applied for an emergency IPAC. We sent a letter to them, and then the EC is still considering that. They are told the revolution is taking any moment from now. But for now, we are here because we don't want the process to continue.
And that was the Deputy Director of ITs and Election, Dr. Rashid Tanko. But let's also take the bite of Jeff Kunedu Ado, who is the Eastern Regional Chairman of the NPP, on this conversation.
I think that this whole process has been rendered a bit of a challenge because of NDC's violent behavior during the whole process, during the coalition in the constituencies. In my region, in the Eastern region, you see violent nature in many of the constituencies. In Ayensia, the EC office was set ablaze. In Suhum, in Fantiakwano, in Sawamwa, in Akotia, all these places saw serious violence, and that's the reason why the EC wanted us to bring it over to Koforidua for coalition, continuous coalition. However, same thing cropped up, and the EC and the police decided that we move it to this place. We've been here yesterday. We successfully were able to do the coalition for Ketia, and it was shown that our candidate, the NPP, won it. We did for Antiapa North, and it was shown that our candidate won it. Done for Suhum, was shown that the NPP won it. And we went on to Sawam Adwetri. That is where the violence and all these noise, threats came in on the EC officials, and NDC tried to do everything possible to prevent it. We stayed here all night till this morning. We managed to take it back.
And that was the Eastern Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Jeff Konadu, over there. But earlier, the National Chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, engaged the press. Let's also listen to him.
Measure. Where we are going now, and by the ruling of the Wenchi Court in the case of the Techiman issue, is that even if you are holding a pink sheet signed by the Electoral Commission, it's useless. If the Electoral Commission is able to get another pink sheet whose figures are different, then you must go according to Electoral Commission's figures. So what check would the political parties have against the Electoral Commission officials themselves engaging in fraud? And that was the reason the Electoral Commission invited our agents from the strong room to be briefed about in her office. And so when they had that information, they were now proceeding to go and see President Mahama. 2016, when we complained initially about the results that were being collated, collation had not ended. Presidential collation had not ended. Peace Council measure. Where we are going now, and by the ruling of the Wenchi Court in the case of the Techiman issue, is that even if you are holding a pink sheet signed by the Electoral Commission, it's useless. If the Electoral Commission is able to get another pink sheet whose figures are different, then you must go according to Electoral Commission's figures. So what check would the political parties have against the Electoral Commission officials themselves engaging in fraud? Nothing. So it's a major issue we will be addressing in the next cabinet to make sure that we restore the credibility of the Electoral Commission and the confidence Kenyans have in our commission before the advent of changes.
And that was the bite of the national chairman of the new National Democratic Congress, I beg your pardon, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, earlier this afternoon. But our man on the ground, Andy Opondentry, joins us live on phone. And Andy, to start with, in the afternoon, we understand that Anodom Prayer was set an injunction, but he refused to take it. I want to know, what's the outcome of that? Is he there?
Yeah, hello, Melo.
Yeah, Andy, can you hear me?
Yes, could you kindly come back to the question?
All right, so I was asking that this afternoon, you have been on the ground since afternoon when this whole escalation began. I was asking that we do understand that Frank Anodom Prayer was set an injunction, but he refused. What's the latest development on that?
Sure, so currently here at the National Police Training at Sesano, where the recollation is taking place, there's an injunction placed on the in Sawam Adwejuri, where it has halted the other constituencies from recollation taking place, and the other constituency from the Ashanti region, that is the Obuasi East, Techiman South, Ahafo Ano Southwest, and then Ahafo Ano North. The recollation is not taking place mainly because of the injunction placed on the Insawam Adwejuri.
Again, we do know that the NDC parliamentary candidate has also sued and requested for a fresh election to be conducted for the Insawam Adwejuri. Has this been considered?
Hello, Melo.
Well, Andy, if you can please position yourself so I cannot be repeating the questions. I'm saying that the NDC-PC has sued and requested for a fresh election to conduct the Insawam Adwejuri, elections again. Has this been considered?
Yes, so the current information, the NDC addressed the media this evening, early in the evening, when they made mention that this place where we are currently is not a polling station, mainly because elections, as we know, is declared at the polling station and not at the police station. And they are saying that this thing that is going on is illegal. And then the NPP also came back in a press conference addressing the media saying that this is not illegal as the NDC is saying, but the coalition that was, or the putting the coalition together that went on the constituency that didn't go well, the continuation of it is taking place here on the grounds. But I'm currently here with the Deputy Director for Special Duty, that is Bronya Jinfi, to also give us Broja Jinfi, to also give us current updates on the happenings. Hello, sir. Welcome to ABC News Ghana. After addressing the media, the NPP came back to say that this place is not, this thing that you're doing is not illegal as you put it, but the police station is not the polling station as you're saying. What do you have to say about that, and then what the happenings afterwards with it?
Well, I didn't even understand their point. What our position is that this thing going on is illegal because coalition is done at the constituency level. There's always a designated place where coalition is conducted after every election. Now, by moving EC to post pink sheets to a police training center for detectives, that cannot qualify in law. I have the CI that governs the elections here. If you check Regulation 42 and Regulation 43, it talks about declaration and publication of parliamentary election results. This must happen in the constituency, not anywhere else. And so it is our position that this exercise is illegal, and it is only returning officers who are appointed by the EC who have the mandate to declare constituency results relative to parliamentary elections. Nobody has that mandate again. And let me read to you Regulation 43.
Before you continue, the NPP also did mention that it is not illegal as you are saying, but it is a continuation of the coalition. Why should a continuation of a process in, say, in Sawam happen in Kesami? If it is a continuation, why can't it happen in Sawam? It's to tell you that it is a different exercise. A process that begins at a particular place cannot continue at a different jurisdiction. It would have continued at the place where it actually took place. So our position is very simple. We are saying that every constituency that has been officially declared by the EC, including Pantiakwa North, Obuasi East, Tema Central, Ablikuma North, Okankwe Central, it is done. The EC cannot do anything. If they think that that declaration was in error, they have a remedy to go to court and seek for redress. Any place that the coalition would not complete, like in Sawam, like Ahafwano North, like Ahafwano Southwest, we said we're open to have a discussion with the EC, but we're not going to accept any pink sheet that has been tampered with. All pink sheets that the EC presents must be what reflects on the pink sheet that was given to the party agents at the various polling stations. And so now the process has been halted. You can see we are all hanging around there because we know our friends in the MPP, they can play a fast one on us. So we are not leaving until we see the police and the MPP and the EC leave. Okay, thank you very much, sir. So Melo, that's what you heard from the Deputy Director of Special Duty from the NDC.
Absolutely. Andy, before I let you go, have you been in contact with the PC? Unfortunately, I'm told we have lost Andy Opondentry, but he has been engaging with Broja Jinfi on the back of this conversation. We're also trying to get into contact with Richard Ahiangba, who's the communications director with the New Patriotic Party. But it seems like technology this evening wants to mess up with us. But we're still hitting hard just to get him back on this conversation to also have his fair share, because the NDC has injuncted or placed an injunction on the Nsawam Adwo-Edri coalition parliamentary candidate declaration as well, which we know that the NPP also are saying that as far as the deputy PCA has officially made mention that Frank Anno-Domprey is declared the parliamentary candidate of the process, he is mandated to occupy that seat. But according to the national chairman, this action, he says an injunction has been filed on that seat. We'll let you know as and when we do have Richard Ahiangba on the line. But away from that, let's also see if you can also reach out to some of the NDC directors, on the conversation of this. And I am told that we do have Alhaji Masawood Buga, who is also the third vice chair of the NPP. Masawood, good evening.
Good evening.
So they say, the NDC say they've placed an injunction on the Nsawam Adwo-Edri constituency coalition process. So far, we tried so hard to engage the parliamentary candidates for that constituency, Frank Anno-Domprey. But you as a third vice chair, how do you respond to this? Let me just begin with that.
Thank you very much. Before I will say a word, let me greet His Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, and then our flag bearer for the 2024 election, and all MPP members from the polling station to the national level. This is unfortunate, and I think to me, the national chairman of the NDC, the credibility of the national chairman of the NDC has to put into caution. The reason why I say it has to put into caution, this is an election that the EC is in charge of the election. And every declaration has to be done by the Electoral Commission. This is the case that Electoral Commission has found that there was malpractice, or there's some attack against some of its officers when guns has been put on them to force them to declare a result which is not valid. It is clear that some of the officials of the EC have clearly, in fact, said it out there categorically without any contradiction that they have been forced by some hooligans of the NDC to declare results for their NDC candidate, even though they don't want the election.
Well, Mr. Wood, earlier, I don't know if you listened to the national chairman of the NDC. He made mention that all these allegations by the, people, electoral officers claiming to be under duress or under pressure to mention the result will be used as evidence in court. So maybe perhaps we should give them the benefit of the doubt.
So now, if the EC is coalition, the EC have the mandate to collect and declare a result. If the chairman of the NDC, the national chairman of the NDC, is not happy or is not in time with the EC, the proper thing is to go to court after the declaration. But you can't go to court and put injunction on a electoral process that the electoral commission is collating and want to collate and declare. So today, if assuming when the 2024 election was conducting, so during the presidential election, if His Excellency the current president said he's not satisfied the way the result is declaring, so in this case he wants to go and search for injunction to stop the presidential election, to stop the coalition or to stop the council or stop the declaration. I don't think Ghana by now will have this peace that we enjoy. So it's the same thing that the chairman of the NDC should know, that they should give the Electoral Commission the chance to do their mandatory work after when the Electoral Commission collated and declared the results. And the NDC think that what the Electoral Commission did is wrong, then they can send their matter, in fact, to the court. But today, what is Asedu Kadia telling us? What precedent is Asedun Ketia living for Ghanaians.
Well, he says the 2016 precedent that you said is what they also are taking lead of.
No, there is not any precedent that when Electoral Commission is doing its process of counting and collation to declare results. So one person, just because he is in power or he thinks power has turned to his hand, so he come and stop the EC and said, no, I don't want collation to go on again. I want you to stop collation or stop counting. Until when? Until when he will satisfy before he said they should count, or until when the EC will tell him that Asedun Ketia, the seat has been won by the NDC before he will say that, then they should continue counting. I don't see this thing as a statesmanship this thing work. Today, Ghana, we are all in peace. It is election that we go. We went to the election. The election didn't go in favor of the New Patriotic Party. Willingly, our flag bearer has come out willingly and concede defeat for the good people of Ghana and tell the good people of Ghana, yes, I was the running presidential candidate, but when I see the way and the manner the results is going, per my data, I have seen that NDC has won the election. In this case, I have considered defeat and congratulate the president-elect, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. This shows that the NPP and its flag bearer need peace. The good people of Ghana need. But in this case,
hello, Mr. Wood.
Yeah.
Yes, kindly follow me. So I was trying to find out from you what in all these conversations and brouhaha, what does the CI say about the recounting and recollation of this process?
Yeah, what I'm saying, as I'm talking to you, I don't compare one and then the Techimo South, Ajay Mensah Kosa. It is quite clear out there that these people, these two personalities, these two honorables has won their election hands down. They have won the election hands down. The EC itself knows that they are won. That's why the EC want to do justice. And what tells me is that the NDC themselves know that this is a seat that is like traditional seat for the New Patriotic Party, and they know we have won. If you tell them that they should bring out their results, their pin sheet, they have pin sheet, but they hide it. Why are you hiding pin sheet if you think you have won? Why are you hiding pin sheet? You see, so they hide their pin sheet to some extent. The pin sheet of the New Patriotic Party, their men has attacked and even tear all our pin sheet. But God willing, the EC itself had its own pin sheet. So now, what is the fear?
Masawood,
what is the fear now?
Masawood, maybe I'd have to rephrase my question again. I was trying to find out once again that in all this, what does the CI say about the recollation and recounting of the process that has been counted at the collation centers and declared at the polling stations? I mean.
So the recollation and the recounting, I think that one is the proper way, because if you look at the reason why, let us ask ourselves, what is the reason for recollation and recounting now? It is the malpractice and the juvenile behavior that has been taking place at the time when the first collation is going to done. The collation have done, but I don't know whether you heard what happened there. It was forced. The EC has forced to declare the NDC candidate, while the EC itself know that the NDC candidate doesn't want the election. So this is a way the EC want all the entire nation to know that they have done their work diligently. That is the reason why they said, okay, now all the two parties to come, then we recollect it. You are here, I'm here. There is not any disturbances, so that when we recollect it and count it, then whoever won, everybody will see it clear. Then we declare the winner. Period. So, but I don't understand why the NDCs still they don't want the recollation or the recounting. Recollation and recounting doesn't start from now. Even when you go to election, we have seen several occasions where someone won and said that no, the person didn't win. Let us recount. they recount. Some can even recount twice. So recounting an election is not a new thing. Recounting an election is not a new thing. So the NDC shouldn't put an impression, in fact, to look like it was tension is mounting in the EC, threatening EC officials, threatening the peace of ordinary Ghanaians, saying big words. We are in an election year. This is an election year, and even the NPP, the NPP is still in power. They do not hand over yet. So we in the NPP, we need peace. Let Asedu Katia know that we are all brothers to each other. We are all brothers and sisters. We are all Ghanaians. We don't have any country to run for. It's only Ghana that we have. So we should go by the Electoral Commission. Whoever by the end, the Electoral Commission justify and counter legally and announce. It's good. We go by it.
Alhaji, unfortunately, this whole time would allow for the conversation, but would you appreciate your thought on this conversation?
Thank you.
Alhaji Masoud Buga is the NPP's third vice chair, and we have been speaking to him on the back of this whole drama that has been ensuing at the National Police Depot earlier this afternoon, which we know that the NDC says it has placed an injunction on that electoral process over there. But in subsequent bulletin, we will still be bringing you more updates on that. But let's do some more news here on ABC Prime. You're still watching. Do want to leave a thought and comment on the back of all these conversations we have highlighted so far. A prominent member of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, Alfred Agbesi-Wyomi, has boldly reiterated the party's commitment towards protecting every single vote during the ongoing recollation exercise at the Tesino police station. Speaking to the media on the confusion surrounding the collation exercise, he intimidated that the NDC will continue its keen vigilance over the collation process to ensure that every vote is safeguarded. This comes amid the numerous confusion that has involved the tensions continue to escalate between the NPP and NDC officials due to discrepancies in the pink sheet from the constituency.
NDC. It's about Ghana. It is about every individual's vote that must be protected. Every individual's vote that must be protected. People have traveled long distances with their family to go and cast their one vote. And that one vote must be protected. And I stand here to say that the NDC is desirous and have the will and energy to protect every single vote of every Ghanaian. And this is why we are here. I want to ask whether the chairman of the election security, Dampari, whether he's aware that the CID boss is using her facility together with Bossman to conduct this illegal exercise. Already yesterday, 3 constituencies were declared for the NPP, including one that had already been declared for the NDC. Today, what was planned was to declare more that have been declared for the NDC, and planning that tomorrow they do for Greater Accra things that have been declared already. I don't see why people should sabotage Ghanaians, their fellow Ghanaians, in this way. Election must be won at the polling station, and all Ghanaians know who have won at their polling station. And each of these votes will be protected. We will stay here and ensure that it is protected. Everything that is being done over here is illegal. And I think my chairman general has said, all security officers that will be engaging in this will be sanctioned. He has said it in his press conference. I'm just quoting again. Will be sanctioned. We are saying this because this is a crime and must not be added. So illegal orders must not be taken. Ladies and gentlemen, please understand what we are saying. Ask the EC where their pink sheet comes from. Why is not in boxes? We seal things. Why is the NDC not informed until we discovered that this facility exists?
Away from that, let's move straight to Wejagbawe, where executives of the National Democratic Congress (NDC) in the Wejagbawe constituency today petitioned the Regional Electoral Commission in Accra. They are demanding a total recount of the ballot papers from all polling centers, alleging foul play. The legal team claimed that the voting process was fraught with errors. Speaking with ABC News, the NDC lawyer, Baba Abu Abdallah, noted that the result was supposed to be free and fair, but was fraught with many errors, some of which they have claimed the EC admitted.
It is evident that the trying to falsify the document and then also to get the the collation sheet to actually match with the summary sheet, and that is not proper. And that is why on 8th, when the declaration, the so-called declaration was done, on 3 days later, on Wednesday, they went to open the boxes and then to falsify and to get the figures to match, and that cannot be acceptable. And so we are ready.
Away from that, the National Peace Council has urged political parties to uphold due process and maintain decorum in the recollation exercise currently being undertaken at the Tessina Police Station in Accra for 3 constituencies in the Eastern region. In the press statement, the council disclosed that the Electoral Commission moved the collation process from the constituencies to the regional level and subsequently to the national level due to incident of disruption, distraction and arson reported at other collation centers across the country. The NPP called the political parties to resolve their grievances through legal channels, and the council also urged the EC to convene an urgent meeting of the Inter-Party Advisory Committee, the IPAC, involving all political party representatives and key stakeholders to find a consensus and break the current deadlock. Prior to this development, NDC's National Chairman Nasiru Nketia in a press conference criticized the recollation exercise mandated by the EC for the Suhum and Sawam, Aduedri, Fantiako North and Ekwatia constituencies, arguing, I beg your pardon, that it's lacked legal justification. Don't go anywhere, we're back with some more news. Business also involved. Do stay. You're welcome back to the program. Let's do some business news. An economist and lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Patrick Asumin, has advocated for the removal of the e-levy, calling it a policy that should be replaced without hesitation. Speaking on ABC News, GH Asumin emphasized that scrapping certain taxes was a key component of the National Democratic Congress's campaign message and believes it is crucial to communicate alternative revenue raising strategic before making such challenges.
Well, I don't know his basis for saying that. What if you ask me, what I'll say is that without blinking, the e-levy should be removed. Without blinking. The other tax handles, well, I mean, the COVID-19 levy, let's put it this way. If you put all those taxes together, it's about just over 5 billion cedis. Now, what you projected to collect for 2024 is just over 176 billion. So, in principle, if you scrap those taxes alone, you are going to lose less than 3% of the total revenue projected. Now, perhaps they are saying that because we are in a program and you shouldn't remove tax handles until there's a clear sense of how you're going to plug the hole. I'm not sure if that was the thinking. But, you know, don't forget that scrapping some of these taxes was a big part of the campaign message. We expect that many Ghanaians will expect that will happen. What I would say is that we shouldn't be in a hurry. The government should communicate to us what alternative strategies for raising more revenue before we
And that's all for business, but let's continue with some more news. And the spokesperson of the transition team of the president-elect John Dramani Mahama, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, has stated that the joint team has agreed that all significant payments and recruitment should be submitted to them before considerations of implementation. Now, this contained in the press release dated December 13 at the second meeting of the joint transition team held on Friday, December 13, 2024. It was agreed that all ongoing significant payments, recruitment, and other such alternatives and activities must be submitted to the transition team for consideration on the case-by-case basis. Quoting, Mr. Ofosu-Kwakye wrote that this to bring clarity to the status of these payments and recruitment and offers an amicable structure for statutorily advising and addressing the issues involved. He also urged public officials to comply without fails and resist any undue pressures. Away from that, President-elect John Dramani Mahama has said as part of the transition process, last-minute recruitment and contract must be of priority in order not to place burden and crash to the economy. Let's take a listen to what he has been talking about.
We're interested also in what you have said before the election and since around governance, around getting on top of corruption. These are areas also that matter a huge amount to the UK. They're areas where we're learning across the world how to do better. So again, we're keen to talk with you. We've benefited in the past from senior level dialogues, ministerial level dialogues that happen regularly through the year, covering economics and the commercial relationship, trade and investment, as well as security and defence, where our areas of collaboration are very broad. So we're keen to continue to work with you in those areas particularly and make the most of those senior level dialogues.
Some parastatals are trying to sign off at the last minute. That will commit government, the new government, even before it was coming to office. And so it's something that we've raised a signal about. And it's my hope that the Joint Transitional Team would take a look at it and deal with it. There are also reports of last-minute mass recruitments into all the agencies, which will be a liability on the new government. And so that's something we've asked them to take up at the Transitional Team meeting and see how we can deal with those issues. But otherwise, I think we want to thank the UK for all the support and cooperation before, during, and after the election. We're still going to work by consensus because we need everybody on board to be able to move this nation forward. And so even though we have such a huge majority, we're still going to make sure that we carry along the minority and we achieve things by consensus rather than railroading.
Well, still the transition team news. There has been a press release by the spokesperson of the transition team for the presidency, and that's what you see on your screens. Now, government's transition team rebuts claims suggesting the suspension of recruitment and awarding contracts. So let's quickly brush you through what the letter says. It says the report on the second meeting of the transition team. The transition team at its second meeting today, 13th December 2024 at the Accra International Conference Center. It goes on to say that the constitution of 6 additional subcommittees, namely finance and economy, energy and natural resources, legal and government, infrastructure, interior, public safety and security, social sector. The point 2 also mentions the members or the membership of the various subcommittees comprises of 3 nominees, each from the outgoing and incoming government, with the head of civil service, the head of local government service, and cabinet security joining any committee when their services are required. Again, it says that the co-chairs further directed that handing over notes should be developed to subcommittee chairs to comment work immediately. The initial work is expected to be delivered within 1 week. says that additionally, outgoing sector ministers, head of agencies, and technical staff will be invited to assist the subcommittees with handing over notes submitted by their respective sectors are being discussed. Again, regarding concerns about ongoing recruitment and payment, it was noted that the government's team expires at the midnight of 6 January 2025. This recruitment process and payment have received the relevant statutory approvals and have not been proven to be legal or illegal. It says that it was also decided that any specific allegations of illegality about any particular payment or recruitment should be brought to the attention of the transition team of decision to be made. Again, maybe finally I would have to take the last two. It says that kindly disregard any statement purporting to indicate that the committee has taken a decision to affect that all ongoing payment and recruitment should be referred to the transition team, and same does not reflect the records of the meeting. Finally, it says that I would like to reiterate government's commitment to seamlessly transitional process as we prepare to press the button to the incoming government on 7 January 2025, and this was signed by Fatima Abubakar, spokesperson of government's transition team. Well, away from that, as the 7th December, 899 suspected cases had been recorded, with deadly new cases surpassing 60. In response to surge, a team from the Institutional Care Division of the Ghana Health Service has been dispatched to the region of monitor the situation, seizes emergency healthcare plans, and provide additional staff to ensure timely treatment. According to reports, public and private hospitals are receiving between 15 to 20 cholera patients daily. Hospital officials have been doing their best, but repeatedly emphasized the urgent need for more resource and supplies. Due to overcrowding, many hospitals have been forced to convert their waiting areas into treatment spaces for cholera patients. The Western Regional Directorate is planning to vaccination campaign with a focus on Sekondi, Takoradi Metropolitan Assembly and Ahanta West. The vaccination drive is set to begin on Friday, 14th December, and will continue through the following Thursday. Authorities have also instructed food vendors, particularly those selling vegetables, to cease operations. Vendors found violating this directive will face penalties, and the Environmental Protection Agency (EPA) is conducting inspection to assess sanitation conditions within the Sekondi Takoradi municipality. Away from that, on health, let's do some on education. Education think tank Africa Education Watch has called on Parliament to delay the introduction of the free senior high school bill until comprehensive consultations are held with key stakeholders. The organization expressed concerns over government's plan to present the bill in Parliament on December 16, stating that the process lacks the necessary stakeholders' engagement. In a statement issued on December 13, EduWatch emphasized the importance of inclusivity and transparency in formulating policies that affect Ghana's education system. The group has urged the Education Minister, Dr. Yaut Osei Duchum, to facilitate discussion with stakeholders, including education experts, civil society organizations, and Parent-Teachers Association, to ensure that the bill reflects a broad consensus. EduWatch believes such consultations are vital and for addressing potential gaps in policy and fostering national support for free SHS initiatives. We're back with some sports news to stay. And in sports, the draw of the 2026 World Cup qualifiers has been finalized, setting up some high-stakes clashes across 12 groups. Key matchups include Germany facing Italy and Spain battling the Netherlands in playoff to determine group placement. Now, here's a quick look at the groups. So Group A, winner of Germany versus Italy, Slovakia, Northern Ireland. Slovenia, I beg your pardon, and Kosovo. Let's quickly move on to D. It says the winner of France and Croatia. Ukraine also in there. Iceland, and we do. Quickly on to Group G, and we do England and Serbia. We also do have Albania and Latvia also in those groups. Just bring you some international updates after this. Two opposition parties in Namibia have won a court order to inspect election materials following claims of irregularities in the country's November 26 presidential and parliamentary elections. The Independent Patriot for Change (IPC) and the Landless People's Movement (LPM) allege issues like ballot shortages, technical glitches, and intended voting days. The electoral voting days, the court has also ordered the Electoral Commission to release key information, including vote count from polling stations. The IPC says the inspection will help determine whether the challenges and election result are despite the allegations. President-elect Ntumbo Nandi Ntwawa, who will become Namibia's first female president in March 2025, has dismissed the criticism, stating, and I quote, "I am not even listening to those critics," unquote. The Electoral Commission also insists the polls were free and fair, and this development follows growing security and scrutiny of electoral process in Southern Africa, as seen in Botswana and South Africa's recent elections. Let's wrap up the bulletin with some entertainment updates. And entertainment, the National Film Authority (NFA) has launched the Sell Ghana to Ghana campaign as part of Ghana Cinema Week 2024, scheduled for December 14 to 22. The initiative aims to promote local films, animations, and games, encouraging Ghanaians to consume more homegrown content. The NFA says Ghanaian filmmakers have produced impressive works this year and calls for other cinemas and esports centers to feature local production. A special segment called the Syndicates will also showcase Ghanaian animation and games for children, fostering a cultural connection for young audience with the theme connecting people through cinema. The NFA aims to strengthen Ghana's creative economy and national pride, stating, while it's also great to sell Ghana to the world, for now, let's sell Ghana to Ghana. And that brings us to the end of tonight's bulletin. But before we take leave of you, let's do a recap of our top stories. While the cholera outbreak in the western region is getting dire as 14 cases have been recorded, we try to engage some health experts over there, but in subsequent broadcasts we will bring you more update on that. Also, following tensions and tempers rising at the Tesino police station, there have been some recollection of declaration and contentious seats over there. And the president-elect transition team has issued a warning on effort to the outgoing government not to engage in at least last-minute contract. John Mahama has been speaking on the back of that. And later in business, we brought you stakeholders having to charge President-elect John Mahama to scrap the e-levy, which they say they are in real contention for the levy to be scrapped. And on the international front, opposition parties in Namibia have won a court order to inspect election materials following claims of irregularities. It has been a pleasure coming your way this evening, and on behalf of the entire team, we do say thanks for watching. Do have a good evening.
became appealing to him.
Nkrumah was very much inspired by Marcus Garvey and the whole idea of return to Africa and black freedom. That inspired him a lot too. So he knew about all those things. That would have fueled his ideas for a kind of Pan-African consciousness and the need to rally a wide range of people in pursuit of what he wanted.
In the United States of America, he came across, writings of George Padmore and co, who were in the Pan-African movement, W.E. Du Bois and all. And eventually in 1945, he linked up with them in Manchester, United Kingdom, where they organized the 5th Pan-African Congress. And they decided to accelerate the struggle for liberation of Africa.
As men of thought and action, they exerted great influence on the young Nkrumah. His ideas for the unity of all Africans later came to be known as Pan-Africanism. In his book, I Speak of Freedom, Nkrumah wrote, "Divided we are weak. United, Africa could become one of the greatest forces for good in the world." After 12 years of being away from the colony, Nkrumah was invited to become the Secretary General of the first ever political party in the Gold Coast, the UGCC. Nkrumah and the founding members of the party were later known as the Big Six. 1948 was the year that saw the Gold Coast go through perennial unrest that resulted to boycotts and mass action. Goods that were brought in by Asian, Lebanese and European traders were too expensive for the locals to afford.
There was a boycott of British goods because people felt that the Association of West African Merchants, which included all the British and expatriate firms, had raised prices far beyond the capacity of Ghanaians.
The colonial government blamed the leaders of the UGCC for stirring up trouble, and this led to the arrest of Dr. Nkrumah and the UGCC party members. They were imprisoned in James Fort and were charged with instigation, looting, and rioting. The imprisonment did not deter Nkrumah from his continued opposition against British rule.
His arrest did not in any way dampen enthusiasm within the party that he had founded, largely because some of the activists remained outside the prison walls.
1951 was the year that saw the Gold Coasters voting for self-rule. By this time, Kwame Nkrumah had split from the UGCC to form his party, CPP.
In 1951, the party that he formed out of the United Gold Coast Convention, which was the Convention People's Party, won a landslide victory in the general elections, and he became the leader of government business, or more or less the Prime Minister of the Gold Coast at the time.
In the struggle of CPP, there is victory for us.
CPP had a big following. The youth particularly believed in Kwame Nkrumah and his ideologies, and actively campaigned for his release. After the party's landslide victory, the pressure on the colonial government to free Nkrumah increased.
At Accra, a huge crowd cheers as Kwame Nkrumah leaves James Fort Prison freed by the governor as an act of grace on the eve of the inauguration of the new constitution.
The British governor, Sir Charles Arden Clarke, eventually recognized him as the Prime Minister. Between 1945 and 1965, a significant number of African countries gained independence from European colonial powers. Ghana became the first African country south of the Sahara to gain independence on 6th March 1957.
When the Gold Coast successfully get your independence officially, Ghana is the name. Ghana, we wish to proclaim we will be
we are going to see that we create our own African personality and identity. We dedicate ourselves not only in the struggle to emancipate other countries in Africa. Our independence is meaningless unless it is linked up with total reflection of the African continent.
Jerry Rawlings, a former head of state, remembers the mood of the time.
We were playing football, and I could hear the siren, and everybody sort of stopped wherever they were, listening to the siren. But of course, I mean, not me. I was chasing after the ball, and I found I was the only one chasing after the ball while everybody was listening to the siren when I ran into a barbed wire. And that's the scar I have here, on that day.
Those who have hats on, to take off your hats and let the band play our national anthem. And from now on, that national anthem is the national anthem of the Gogo to be played on all occasions.
The mood was electrified. Everybody was seeing the dawn of a new beginning. This was the day on which he said that the African was capable of governing himself. And he said that we as Africans should be allowed to make our own mistakes. That was an incredible day.
Its freedom served as an inspiration to other African countries struggling against colonial rule, and as a result, Ghana occupied a central role in the fight against imperialists. On 31st December 1957, while in office as Prime Minister, Kwame Nkrumah quit the Bachelors Club. Fatia Ritz and Kwame Nkrumah became husband and wife a few hours after she landed in Accra from Egypt. This was a marriage that baffled many. It was not understood why Kwame Nkrumah asked for a bride from Egypt. She did not speak English, and neither did Kwame speak Arabic.
Mother was a young woman from a different culture. She left her family to come and her home base to come and live here. So I think it was a challenging marriage in a sense, but I remember her saying she would do it all over again.
He, I think, did not marry her because she was in love. I think he just felt that it was time for him because of his position. He was then Prime Minister and then eventually became president in 1960. I think he needed to have that image.
Together, they had 3 children, Gamal, Samir, and Sekou. From a previous relationship, he fathered a son, Francis Nkrumah.
We had an ordinary childhood in the sense that our father, when he was at home, he was a very modest, simple man. So I remember playing around him, all of us. But I remember little things like him insisting on giving us a spoon of honey because it was good for us. Yes.
It wasn't long before that Kwame Nkrumah's regime started going through the mill. By declaring Ghana a one-party state, he was perceived as a dictator.
So with a one-party system, everything became all Nkrumah, and that was wrong.
But you see, that again is a total misunderstanding of African history. Almost all of the African states which broke away from the colonial yoke established one-party states.
Do you think a one-party state is good for democracy? If it wasn't democracy, then they should have left us with their colonial masters. They did not force us.
I waited one day when it was a good mood alone. Then I said, Sakifo, why do you want a one-party state? Then he said, you know, I've established so many industries and institutions, and I don't have enough competent people to man them. Many of the people who can do this are in the opposition. And that was why later I found the only way out was to have a one-party state. So we all belong.
His predicament did not end there. He went ahead and implemented the Preventive Detention Act. This gave him power to detain anyone he deemed a threat without a trial.
All his bills were passed through Parliament, even preventive detention bill. He didn't just get up and say, I, Kwame Nkrumah, from today, I'm having this law. No. He went through the process, went to Parliament, and Parliament passed the preventive detention bill.
The elite in those days were against this dictatorial type of governance. And so the opposition to Kwame Nkrumah increased.
How can the person who led us to struggle for the right to elect our own leaders become a dictator? The person who led us in struggle to assert our rights as human beings become a dictator? Strange logic, strange definitions.
It was his own people, his own government that gave him away because he was becoming a nuisance.
As Nkrumah walked in the gardens of Flagstaff House, which served as his residence, he was the target of a failed assassination attempt.
One day he was walking from his office, from his house to his office, and the policeman opened fire on him. What was it to do with that policeman? Give him a bouquet of flowers and kiss him on the cheeks for attempting to assassinate him? I don't understand these noises about dictatorship.
In August 1962, Kwame Nkrumah was returning from Upper Volta, present-day Burkina Faso. A grenade was concealed in a bouquet of flowers and given to a school pupil to present to him. It exploded.
It was at that point that the bomb was thrown. It caught him. The girl who was going to present the flower died on the spot. The fragments went into all his body from his nipple down.
Alhaji Suleimana Yeremia was detained during Kwame Nkrumah's regime. He was accused of being behind the bombing.
You in Ghana here just mentioned the bomb, and my name will be one. When you look at the trial, I was not alone. If it were you, what are you going to say? Do you take it or you leave it? At that point too, it was a matter of death. When you assign it to me, I would not accept it. But there is every indication that says that I was the one.
Ghana's economic condition started to get bleak. Cocoa, its primary export, had started experiencing a decline in the world market. Unemployment was on the rise. The state enterprises that were established soon collapsed, and food prices increased.
At one time, we had the highest per capita income in Africa. Ghana, for the first time, was rationing soup, milk, and other things that we were buying at the Accra Sports Stadium. That was not befitting of Ghana.
Meanwhile, Nkrumah funded Guinea with £10 million from Ghana's coffers, making this the worst economic blunder of that time.
Guinea had to be told that they have support. And all Africa should know that we are together, that we should help each other. So to me, it wasn't the amount of money, a symbolic gesture of great import.
His efforts to rescue Guinea did not in any way repair his already damaged reputation with the people of Ghana. And what that meant was even the most trusted friend in his government could end up being a threat.
We cannot, under any circumstances, allow imperialists and new colonialists to interlock with traitors in our midst to deflect us from the path of duty and progress.
On the 21st of February 1966, President Kwame Nkrumah flew out of Accra on a plane bound for Hanoi, Vietnam. Ironically, he had gone on a peace mission, but in his own backyard, it was all but peaceful. 3 days later, on the morning of 24th February 1966, the self-proclaimed president for life, Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, was ousted in a military coup.
The overthrow of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. I'd never seen such an explosion of joy.
We were in prison when we heard that Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown. Come and see in the prison. People were weeping because of joy. The prison was full. As for people